What are you getting? Give me some feedback.
The Mofer thing is really big. Utilizing my website versus,
Right.
Utilizing PW's website versus my own platforms, but incorporating the two. Be more consistent on the social aspect.
Extremely important nowadays, right?
Yes.
It really is, but I know what you feel. I know what you mean, right?
I mean, face to face, it's always about getting belly to belly.
Right.
And I thrive off communication.
I'm the same way.
Versus what I feel is like completely disconnected.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
So it's a learning curve for me.
Right.
It's mostly just because I don't like it, but I have to get over myself.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah. What happened?
She said she doesn't like social media.
Oh, that makes two.
Yeah. I really want to land on
Right,
it.
but as I was.
Did you see my video last night, too? I tagged you on one
You
on
did?
Instagram.
We were in career night, so I'll check it out when I get back to the office. But anyhow, I mean, we've been talking about social media in my track class for the past 2 weeks and how powerful it is, right? But you need to utilize it in an effective way, right? It's not just like putting whatever information you want out there and that's it. So for example, one of the examples that I used yesterday, I mean, how many of you guys heard about the rent increase? Right? LA County approved a 10% increase over the next few months, which is going to affect a lot of people. Right? So that would have been a great item to actually post and talk about and get some people to interact with that post. Right? I saw Victoria posted it. And in her message, she said, your mortgage has been increased by 10%. Too bad it's not your mortgage. Mm-hmm. Right? Why not make it yours and avoid this 10% increase? I thought it was a great post, which would lead into what? Interaction between the audience that Victoria has, right? There's a ton of information out there going back to social media that can be used for your advantage. Now, going into the seller staging strategy is something super important because obviously you want to do what? You want to market the properties that you guys are getting under contract, right? How many of you guys would agree that you do everything with your eyes first?
Yes.
That's true.
100%, right?
Yes.
You're at a restaurant, right? You get a menu, and restaurants are so good about putting pictures in menus nowadays. And they take the best pictures that make your mouth water, and before you've even ordered the food, you've already tasted it.
Right.
Right? Well, you buy with your eyes first when it comes to anything else. You see a property that looks amazing, you're like, oh my God, right? Look at the pool, look at the kitchen, right? Marketing is super important. And I always advise all of my training agents that if you do get a seller, hire a professional photographer.
Okay.
Right? We're realtors. We're not photographers. And even though these phones have some amazing technology and amazing cameras that can do some amazing things, it's still not a professional camera. Right? It all has to do with lighting. It all has to do with the type of camera that the photographer is using. And not only that, the experience that the photographer has to do the photo shoot at a certain angle. Right? So staging a property and getting professional photography is super important. I had a listing agent yesterday contact me, an agent that I coach, and she's like, George, the property that I have on the market I haven't had any activity. I said, remember Eileen, when we talked at the beginning of this listing, I told you it was overpriced? She's like, yeah, it's still overpriced. Right? I said, here's the thing, your client, it's been on the market for 6 months. I said, you guys put the property on the market when the market was doing phenomenal, but yet you were trying to beat the market even though the market was great. And I said, and I gave you advice to do it a certain way, but your clients decided to do it their way, and the result is there. I said, now we're in a shifty market. Now you're going to have to reduce your price substantially and revamp the listing, right? So first of all, she ended up using her phone. She ended up taking quick little videos with her phone, and she created a video, and she thought it was the greatest marketing concept of the world. And I said, it's not going to work. I said, you have a listing that you're putting on the market for $698,000. Wouldn't it make sense to market your property using professionalism? Right? I mean, what would your client think if they're paying you a full commission on a $700,000 listing? I mean, I would expect as a client that you use professional photography for professional video. Right?
Yeah.
So she called me last night. I mean, she called me 2 days ago to ask me advice on that, and that was exactly what I recommend. You gotta get a professional photographer. You gotta lower the price. You gotta do a whole bunch of stuff to reach out and give this thing a little bit of, CPR. So when it comes to staging a property, I know it's an expensive thing to do, but sometimes with the same furniture that people have in their homes, you can make it look amazing. The thing that most people that have long-term homes do is clutter their home. Right? They have a million pictures on the wall, from where little Johnny was 2 to where little Johnny is 21. Right? You see the life history of that little kid. Right? And unfortunately, you gotta have a conversation with your clients to the point where you want to allow the person coming into that property to visualize themselves there, not your family. Right? So I always advise, let's take as many things as we can down. You're gonna be moving, let's start packing this stuff up. Right? So decluttering makes extremely sense when working with clients. So let's get into the lesson and see what it's all about. Let me make this slideshow. Let me put it on the screen. Seller staging strategy, stand out from the competition. Main ideas, perspective on staging, convincing your sellers to stage. Options for staging and consultation. Evaluate the house, implementation, staging and empty house. Perspective. Benefits of staging. Staging is your ticket to getting your listing sold. In a shifting market, there is more competition than ever. Your listings must stand out. Staging is non-negotiable in many parts of the country. Agents like great-looking homes. They are easier to sell. Buyers are looking for value. Staging enhances your reputation as an agent. Right? So career growth initiative. Listing appointments. Obviously, what's going to be what's the bread and butter of this business?
Listings.
Well, how do you get the listing?
Relationships.
Relationships. How do you create the relationship?
Lead generation.
Say it again?
Lead generation.
Lead generation. Okay? Lead generation is your number one word in this. Which lead generation, you're lead generating to do what? Expand your database, right? You're looking for buyers, for sellers, or that people that you can keep in touch with over the next few years of your career, right? But your goal is to have what? Appointments, right? So I have an agent that I train. He's out at the Encino office, right? KW Encino. He relocated back there. He wanted to be back in the place where he grew up. He grew up in Sherman Oaks, I believe, or somewhere there. But his mom lives over here. So he was out here for a minute, and I had a conversation with him the other day. And when he was working with me at the Eastside office, he really took his training serious, right? And I told him, your goal is to have an appointment every single day, right? So you got to make calls every single day, 2 sessions a day, to make sure that you have either a buyer's consultation or a listing appointment on a daily. You have to make it happen, right? So I had a conversation with him 2 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, Andrew was there. I had him on speakerphone, and I said, what are your daily goals? He's like, well, I got a lead generator. I said, what time does your lead generation start, Arturo? He's like, 7:30 in the morning. What time do you get to the office? 6:30. I said, what do you do at 6:30? I said, I do script practice. I said, okay. And from 7:30 from 7 to 7:30, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing incantations. Do you guys know what an incantation is? It's simply saying, I am a great agent. I am a great agent. Right? Telling himself, preparing himself, fixing his mind. He's like, when 7:30 hits, it's time to rock and roll. And I do my lead generation from 7:30 in the morning till about 10 o'clock. And then I take a break. I said, how long is your break? He's like, 15, 20 minutes. I said, what do you do after that? He's like, I check over my files. I said, how long is your checking up on your files? He's like, about an hour, hour and a half. I said, okay, return emails, do whatever I have to. I say, what do you do after that? I go take lunch. I say, how long is your lunch? I said, I give myself an hour. I said, okay, what do you do after? He's like, I get back to lead generation. He's like, so I lead generate from the moment I get back from lunch, which is around 1 o'clock, he's like, all the way to about 3, between 3 and 4. He's like, and what's your daily goal? 2 appointments. I said, 2 appointments every single day. He's like, yeah. What if you don't get them? He's like, I don't go home. I was like, awesome. I said, and if you do get them, then I'm done for the day. But I have to have 2 appointments every single day. Right? Every single day.
And he's cold calling?
Cold calling.
Wow.
He's like, cold calling. I said, what is your goal for the year? Obviously, he's in the Encino area, so the price bracket from Palmer is going to be extremely different, right? He's dealing with multi-million-dollar homes down there. I said, what's your goal for the year? He's like, 18. I said, where are you at? He's like, I'm at 8. I said, so you're 10 shy? He's like, yeah. I said, are you on track to hit your goals? He's like, absolutely. And I asked him, how much money do you want to make this year? And he told me his number. I said, great. He knew his numbers to the T. Like he became a business owner, right? And us as business owners, those are key things that we want to do. So the appointments is what's going to lead into what you see on the screen. In this case, the listing appointment. Why are listings so important?
It gives you the opportunity to leverage.
Leverage, key word, right? Leverage. Why is leverage so important in this business when it comes to listings?
Marketing.
Marketing, and what does that marketing lead to?
A buyer.
A buyer, right? Listings are a 2-for-1 deal, guys. You put a sign in front of a yard, you're gonna get a call, or multiple calls for that matter, right? It gives you the opportunity of either double ending the property or finding a buyer for another property. It's always a 2-for-1 deal. The more real estate you have under contract, the more business you're gonna acquire. And let me tell you, listings are less work than buyers, right? You just gotta market the property. A lot of people work off of 3 Ps, okay? They put it under contract, they put it on the MLS, and they pray for a buyer, right? You gotta add the 4th P. What do you think the 4th P is?
Prospect?
Proactive.
Oh,
Proactive. You gotta be proactive with your business. What does that mean? Marketing the crap out of that property, right? You're not out there spending time in the field showing your listings. You better be putting some marketing packages together and following up with the results from that marketing, right? It doesn't take much to market a property. Like I always, every time I list a property, I run a campaign, a 3-day campaign. Every 3 days I run a campaign. Costs me $6 per day to run a campaign with my properties. And it generates a crap load of leads for me. Here's the thing, not all the leads are good, right? At the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? Have you guys heard of the 80-20 rule? Nowadays, it's more like a 90-10. Right? So out of 100 leads, you're probably going to get 10 people that you're probably going to end up having some conversation with. And out of those 10, you're going to apply the same percentage again. You're probably going to end up with 1 good lead. Right? But here's the thing. We're only looking for 1 more person.
Right.
Right? We're not looking for everybody in the world. We're just looking for that 1 person every day. Right? So the listing appointment's going to lead into what? The contract, the listing taken. Right? So the wall of value. Agent trend tool, agent lure tool, or local expert. Closings, which lead into the wall value is what? Your escrow, right? Closing listings, closing buyers, and then it equals what? Payday, right? Your GCI. So if you guys are keeping track of what your business should be doing, your number 1 thing to find out is where you want to be at the end of the year financially. What do you want your GCI to look like? Do you guys know what GCI stands for?
Gross commission income.
Exactly. Gross commission income. What you're going to make before any splits are even in place. Right? Or any money you set aside for who? Uncle Sam. Right? You guys know that. You guys have got to put money aside for Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no? Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't know Uncle Sam, just wait. He'll send you a letter.
He'll find you.
Yeah, he'll definitely find you. You can't hide away from Uncle Sam. He's the only family member that you cannot avoid.
Right.
How much do you put aside? A percentage?
30%.
You put 30%?
Yeah.
Well,
You just gotta have more kids. That's what it is.
I don't have any, right?
I'd rather put 40 than have another kid.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, all right. Well, I got enough, so maybe I can go down to 20.
That's funny. So yeah, those things are things that you want to consider. So your GCI, it's going to be so important. So if you really want to walk away with, let's say, 200 grand for the year, then you got to know what that GCI needs to be after you walk off with that 200K. So you're probably looking at about 350 to 400,000 in GCI to be able to walk away with 200.
Right.
Right? Because you have expenses. We lead with money in this business. Right? What do we have as expenses? We got realtor dues every single week. I mean, every single week. Wow.
It seems like it's every single
I quit. Right? Every single year. I know, right? You got expenses per listing. Right? The marketing is not free. Photo shoots are not free. You know, the sign that you put in front of the house, that's not free. They're expenses. Right? If you're a member of multiple MLSs, guess what? Those are yearly expenses too. I have 3 MLSs that I'm a member of. And I need them. Right? I need them because I work those areas. So I'm a member of Gavin, I'm a member of Southern, I'm a member of Bakersfield. Right? Those things cost money every single year.
Right.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Question with the, when you take a listing, I don't know if I'm going out of order, but when you're taking a listing and you gotta get the pictures done and prepare the property, what is the time frame to how to, I guess, in what order would you do that, given that you have to put the property in MLS, like at a certain time?
So you gotta put the property on the market within 72 hours of getting the listing when you sign it, right? Or you sign an exclusion, right? If you're gonna be more than 72 hours, you gotta sign an exclusion. You gotta provide that exclusion according to the bylaws of GABAR. You gotta submit your exclusion to them immediately, letting them know that you have a property under contract and that you're not gonna be putting it on the market till this certain date, right? Okay. But when you sign the exclusion according to the bylaws of GABAR, you can't even promote it as a coming soon.
Right.
Right? You'll get in trouble for that if you have a property that you have under contract, is excluded, and you're marketing the crap out of it. You're doing something that is a violation. Right? According to GABAR. So the only way to put it on coming soon is for you to use it between those 72 hours. Right? You have the contract, it's gonna go on the market on this day, you're good to go. Right? But go ahead, Myra.
Just a quick question. Are we allowed to list other agents' property with the agents already, if they're okay with it?
What do you mean list?
Well, not list, but market.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just go get permission from the agent, and sometimes I don't get permission. I just say, here's the thing. People's listings become what? Public.
Right, exactly.
You have third-party websites out there like Realtor.com and Zillow and Homes.com and this and that and YourHouse.com and Everything.com, right? That all these websites populate with our local MLS.
And even our
And we have no control over that.
Right, and even our
Exactly. Now, let's take Zillow for example, right? Zillow populates with the local MLS all over the place, right? And then they take your listing and they generate a whole bunch of leads, and then they call Myra, guess what? We have a list for you of leads that are ready to rock and roll, and only going to cost you $299. And now they just use your listing to generate leads from your listing, and now they're trying to sell them back to you. Bullshit.
Yes.
Right? That's why I don't use these third-party websites, because I could be doing the same thing myself. Right? Command has some amazing tools for you to run ads that will lead generate and drop the leads right into your Command contact section. Right? And depending on the type of marketing that you're doing, it could cost you pennies per lead, or it could cost you a couple dollars per lead. Right? We have a whole bunch of tools that we can use to be able to market our business in a very effective way without having to pay Zillow or Realtor.com or Trulia or whoever they are. Right? Because they're selling you your own leads. They're trying to make money on the people that are being generated by your own business. Right? But people get excited when they hear, they have a list for me, 93550, I gotta sign a 6-month contract and it's gonna be $300 a month. Get out of here. Go fly a kite somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't make any sense. Getting the most out of this experience. The prisoner has to be there, doesn't want to be there, and doesn't know why they are there. Doesn't engage. Spends class time catching up on their emails. How many of you have done this in class where you're like trying to send a text message, or you're sitting in the back row because you're on Facebook trying to act like you're actually taking the class? I catch you guys. Don't forget, I got a camera in the back. I see what you guys are doing, right? Escapes by spending time in the hallway on their phone. Oh, I gotta take this call. What's up, Mom? You're taking away time from your training. What is that doing for you? Right? Holds on limiting beliefs. How many have experiences? Myra? Right? I'm gonna keep picking on you because we're gonna break through those limiting beliefs. Right? Multitask on their computer by working on side projects. How many of us get derailed very easily when we're working? Oh crap, I forgot to do this. Boom. And now you stop working on your income producing activities and you get into what is a hobby. How much money does a hobby make?
Zero.
Zero. It actually costs money to have hobbies, right? Picks fights with trainer or other participants. They don't agree. I've had this many times, right? I have an agent that argues the fact of what I'm teaching them when I know for a fact that what I'm teaching works as I've experienced it and seen the results. And I have a brand new agent trying to argue with me, oh, that doesn't work. Okay. Your brain doesn't work, that's what's happening, right? The vacationer, the one in the middle, a day in training better than a day on the job. Spends as much time chatting as listening. They're there to have fun, distract the class with irrelevant comments. The class clown, right? Returns late from break or lunch. Not purposeful in their learning goals. How many have experienced or heard of people that go to every single class available in the schedule? They are a freaking career student, but yet never put any of the learning to work. I see it all the time, right? I always tell people, and I use this phrase over and over and over again, ignorance on fire will kick knowledge on ice out of the game any day of the week. Because you could be the smartest person in this room, take all the training that you could possibly take, but if it just stays here, it means nothing. But you could be a person that just never went to class, but you're out there working your butt off and talking to everybody you can, and you're just like rocking and rolling, right? You're working with, not to say that the person is ignorant, right? But ignorance on fire, meaning that they don't have the knowledge, but they're working, right? So that will be the any person that has amazing training any day of the week. The explorer, excited and curious about the new knowledge, skills, and tools they will discover in class. Listens attentively, then participates fully in discussions and exercises. Also takes notes, right? Asks meaningful questions and contributes with compelling ahas. Arrives to class on time and returns promptly from work. Adopts a posture of acceptance. Takes notes in their manual for future reference. Super important, guys. Right? I see a lot of you guys taking notes all the time, and more kudos to you. Use the notes though. Don't just collect the notes. Use them. Right? Reference it back. I remember I used to be in a different type of business prior to real estate, and I used to go to a lot of seminars. I kid you not. I have journals. I have tons of them. I have boxes worth of journals of just notes and notes and notes and notes that I still go back to till this day, because a lot of the stuff that I learned in that business I implement in my mentorship and coaching in real estate. Right? It's really good stuff. Right? And I still have those journals. They date back to the beginning of the 2000s. Right? 2005, 2006 is when I really got into being an entrepreneur, like really deep into it. Right? Arrives to class on time and returns promptly from work. Adopts a posture of acceptance. Take notes in their manual for future reference. Super important, guys. Right? I see a lot of you guys taking notes all the time, and I used to go to a lot of seminars. I kid you not. I have boxes worth of journals of just notes and notes and notes that I still go back to till this day, because a lot of the stuff that I learned in that business I implement in my mentorship and coaching in real estate. Right? It's really good stuff. Right? And I still have those journals. They date back to the beginning of the 2000s. Respects the different learning styles and opinions of others. Hopefully, you pick the explorer. Which one are you?
The explorer.
Right? The explorer should be your pick. Convincing your seller to stage. First things first, get the listing. Right? Absolutely. Get the damn listing. Right? Sign on the dotted line, sir. Gotta get them under contract. Always be closing, ABC. Staging can be a sensitive topic. Don't risk losing customers over what they perceive to be unnecessary or worse, insulting recommendations. Your ability to get people to stage the home is going to have a direct impact on whether the home sells, how quickly it sells, and what price. Staging can be very, very simple, guys. Very simple. If you're a good creative person, I've made bedroom sets out of cardboard boxes. I'm not kidding about that. Go to Home Depot, get about 6 boxes, open them up, stack them, and I create a bed. Just put a couple sheets over it. It looks like a bed. Nobody knows that it's not. Right? Get a couple more boxes on the end, put something over there, a little throw, you got some end tables. Right? It could be easy. Right? You just got to get creative. You don't need to hire companies that charge thousands and thousands of dollars to do stuff like this. Right? Let me show you something. One of my investors does minimal staging on his listings, and it's just simple stuff like curtains and little decorations that he puts in the kitchen, and it actually makes a world of a difference. Right? Let me show you this latest property that I just put under contract. And it's just stuff that he picks up. It's just stuff that he picks up like at Ross or like these discount stores.
So if you have a vacant house with no furniture, it's ideal to put something in there to stage it. That's ideal, I guess.
John, you're fired.
What is he, the vacation there?
Yes. So this is my client, my investor's newest listing, right? You see how this little stuff makes? He decorated the fireplace a little bit. Nothing major. Added the clock, added this, added some curtains. Couple things on top of the kitchen, make it look nice. Coffee little pot there, some fake fruit, you know, some soap. Just a couple little things here and there. It makes a difference. That didn't cost them but maybe $100 worth of stuff to get this thing done. And a little bit of elbow grease because he has to go and drop it off and put the curtains up and stuff like that, right? Some shower curtains, some towels, you know, a little bit of soap there.
So George, again, going back to him staging all this, of course it took time. Well, I mean, maybe it could have taken a day. But is this kind of normal that when you get a listing, you submit that paperwork to Gavar saying, hey, I need a few more extra days to stage it? Is that sort of normal, or most people are prepared within?
It's going to depend on your client. It's going to depend on your client. How fast does your client want the property on the market?
Right.
Right? What's the urgency?
Because I can sign on Monday and get a photographer in Tuesday and potentially stage it same day or Wednesday and be ready to meet the 72 hours and be
right.
Got it.
Right, absolutely. So again, it's gonna fall back to your resources, how fast you can have photos.
Right.
Right. If you're gonna do a video, how fast is that video gonna come back? Right. What is the property ready for photos? Right.
Right.
That takes time. The client might say, hey, give me a couple days so I can clean my house. Right? Every situation is different. Every situation, you just got to analyze the situation that you're in and move forward from there. Make sense? Question?
Wait, I'm sorry. The paperwork, there's the date that it was signed and the date that the listing is going to go live.
Right.
If you're talking the date it was signed, it has to go on that list?
No, the day that your client told you, indicated, hey,
Yeah.
don't put the property on the market till this day.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it could be a couple days, it could be a few weeks.
Mhm.
Just depends, but this is something that you definitely have to consider. If you're listing a property, let's say 90 days, and the property's not gonna be ready for 2 weeks, well, guess what? You just took 2 weeks off of my contract, 2 weeks less than I'm gonna have to market this, so I would extend the expiration date of that contract by the amount of time that the owner needs the property off the market.
Oh, okay, what she just said is when you sign a listing, whatever day you're signing it is today,
It's
but
the
there's a
date.
date that says this
If
is
you
when
have
it
an
starts.
if you have an exclusion, then you have to specify a day that the property is gonna be available or going on the MLS.
And that's the day that 3 days for that date is what the MLS is required to upload it.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah,
that
so
makes- that makes
if I list a contract, if I put a property under contract on Sunday night, it has to be on the MLS by Wednesday, right?
Unless stated otherwise.
Unless agreed upon through an exclusion that the property will go at a later date.
And that has to be in the contract.
It has to be contractual, 100%. You gotta sign a seller exclusion from the MLS, it's an additional document.
Oh.
Sorry, you re-confused me. The date that it was.
Are you
prepared-
re-confusing?
I'm sorry. The date it was prepared and the date that the listing goes.
Mhm.
So you're speaking on, it needs to be in the MLS according to the date that the listing goes live, not the date that you signed it, not the date it was
Correct.
prepared.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so
if
for
I'm
example-
signing it today, but we're agreeing that it's gonna go on the market at the end of August.
Mhm.
So we say August 20th.
Okay,
And then the clients go ahead and tell me August 18th, hey, I need a few more days. That's when I use the exclusion.
you use the exclusion from the beginning if it's not gonna go on the market within those 3 days.
From the date that
From
you
the
From the
date
signed.
date, from the date that you signed the contract, from the date that you prepared it.
Oh,
That's
okay,
what
that
I-
is, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I sign a contract with you today,
Mhm.
It has to be on.
it has to be on the market. Per the contract, you got 72 hours to put it on the MLS,
Got it.
right? That means I gotta put it on the MLS by Wednesday, right? But if I don't have enough time to take photo, my photographer said, well, I'm not available till Thursday. Crap, right? He's gonna take the photos. It's gonna take him 24 hours to edit, right? You probably won't have the pictures till the following day. So now, when's gonna be your next opportunity to put it on the market? Friday,
Right.
right? So you sign an exclusion indicating that. Why do you want to sign an exclusion? You want to protect yourself,
Right.
right? So if Galwar comes and be like, hey, how come you haven't put this property on the market? Well, I have an exclusion, right? But according to their laws and regulation, if you do sign an exclusion, you gotta send them a copy.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta send them a copy. Have I?
Galwar.
I don't remember.
Well. Have I also not done that 3-day thing according to the way you're saying it? Absolutely. So praise God. no.
I have to. I'm guilty of it,
Praise God.
right? I'm
Just-
guilty of it.
Just not having it in the 3 days and not doing the exclusion or whatever, is what you're saying?
Mhm.
They could come at you if they're looking for you.
Everything is possible,
Man.
right?
Yes.
Convincing your seller to stage tips for discussing staging. Inform sellers that their return on investment will be higher with staging, and that you will only recommend changes that promise a return for their time, effort, and money. Give it real examples, gauge their reactions, and adjust your presentation. Here's the thing, they actually approved digital staging with your photos now, right?
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it's furniture is photoshopped in. Okay, which before back in the day it wasn't legal. Now it is, but you have to include a copy of your original picture as well, right? There's an agent in town, Ty Ingram, right? She works with nothing but investors,
Right.
and her pictures have the original picture, and then she has a stage fake picture, right? So you can kind of glance and see where you were. Okay, that's what it would look like with furniture, right? I think it's corny, to be honest. You know. Explain staging. Talk about what staging is. Give them a printed information, supply checklist for the process. Look for resources in other courses such as KWU's Ignite. Take a consultative approach. Take pictures of cluttered and uncluttered rooms and ask your sellers which one they think buyers would like. Point out how much money they will lose by not staging. Learn new scripts and dialogues. Right? Sometimes as listing agents, we're afraid of telling our clients that their house is cluttered.
Or stinky.
Yes. Yes, right? Guess what, guys? You're trying to do what? Give them a service that is gonna result in what? In selling the property. So guess what? Sometimes you gotta be honest. And you should be honest. But there's a certain way to deliver the message. You're not gonna be like, Brandon, your house stinks and you're gonna get rid of this stuff, man. It's not gonna sell.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Rough conversation.
Imagine what kind of conversation you would have. It'd be a cancellation conversation. Right? But if I come to Brandon, hey Brandon, you know what? I appreciate that you have your home a certain way. And that's awesome. This is the way you like it, but here's the thing. We want to give the buyer the opportunity to picture themselves in this home. I want them to picture their pictures on the wall. I want them to picture their furniture in this home. So the less we have out, the better it's going to be for us, right? So let's walk around the home so I can give you some advice on how to make the rooms look a little bit better. If we have less things out, it's going to look bigger, which is going to be a plus, right? I'm giving them the same message, just in a different way, right? Same message, different delivery. Does that make sense?
What about the smell? What would you?
First of all, I'm gonna recommend that the property be clean, especially since we're gonna have a photo shoot, right? You know what, Brendan? We definitely want to get the house repaired for photos, and the best way to have the house repaired is to actually have somebody come in and professionally help you clean the property, right? Do you have somebody in mind that can help us do that? You're putting people in motion, right? People won't take action sometimes for themselves. You gotta hold your clients accountable too, right? But you're doing it in a nice way.
Yeah.
If you deliver, the way you deliver the message is gonna give you the result,
Yeah.
right? If you go in there and act like you're the boss, guess what? You're not the boss. They are. But who's in control? You are, right? You're the leader. You're the leader. So taking, okay, we did this one. Set expectations. We were just talking about this, right? Be diplomatic. See with the buyer's eyes, right? Again, I just talked about this. We're actually trying to set the expectation so that the buyer sees it in their way. Options for the staging consultation. Do it yourself. Pros. You will spend more time with your sellers, enabling to build your relationship. There is no monetary expense. You have control over the finished product. Cons. You become the bad guy. It may cost you more in time, which you could otherwise spend lead generating, than it would pay for your consultation. You may not have the skills or resources to stage different types of homes. I don't know how to stage. It's not my lingo. Right? I have a friend that does staging. I always recommend him. Right? Even if it's something light, might cost a few $100. Right? Sometimes if the sellers just cannot afford it and I need to sell it, I'll take care of it myself. Meaning I'll pay the bill. Right? Especially if I'm making a full commission. Right? Tips for doing it yourself. Study the principles of staging. For more information, contact www.stagehomes.com or any other website there that you see. Prepare a checklist. Develop a network of professionals for jobs such as painting, carpet cleaning, and landscaping. Guess what? Fixing things that are bad, like landscaping or painting, is part of staging also. Right? If you have a home and the walls are completely dirty and they're expecting to make top dollar, guess what? You're going to have to recommend that wall get repaired. Right? Go ahead.
Do you as an agent, let's say you have a little knowledge as a handyman, you know how to do little basic stuff. Would you as an agent have you ever considered just helping the seller do those little repairs?
I've done it many times.
Okay.
I've done it many times where if it's a simple repair, hey, you know what? I'll come and do it Saturday. Right? I'll take care of it. I used to change the self-closing hinge on the garage doors all the time. Right? Why? Because it's a requirement for the appraiser. You gotta have a self-closing hinge on the door that leads into the garage. If you have an inside entrance, why? Why do you guys think? What? Fire safety. right? It's a fire door, and it has to close on its own. I mean, how many of you guys have ever gone into a garage, into a house from the garage, and the door simply shuts itself from behind, right? Well, guess what? Those hinges are under tension, right? And what happens when something is under tension for a very long time, it becomes weak, or it snaps, and it no longer works. So those things, I used to replace those things all the time. Even if it was my buyer buying an empty house, I'd go in there and just, you know what, we're gonna need this. I gotta, if this thing isn't up to par with the guidelines that the appraiser's gonna have, we're gonna have a reinspection, and it's gonna cost the buyer a fee to reinspect the property. So I would be proactive. If there's no smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detectors, I would advise the seller, hey, we need these installed. Well, they're not installed. You know what? I'll go get them at friggin' Home Depot and install myself.
Yeah.
Put a piece of Velcro on it, bam, slap it on the wall.
It's
Right?
doable, we can do that.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys. You're gonna do whatever it takes to make your business work.
Right.
And if that takes, painting a wall or putting a screw in or installing a smoke detector, so be it.
$15.
$15, yeah. I remember I used to get smoke detectors, a pack of 2 for like $10 or something back in the day, right? Nowadays, I'm pretty sure it's more expensive than that, maybe 20 or 30. Carbon monoxide, I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks, But that's a business expense. It's a write-off.
Oh, it is? All that?
Of course.
Oh.
Anything you're spending on your business, it becomes a write-off. You just gotta keep the receipt.
Become a handyman.
Right? So having a network of professional services is something that's very key in this business, right? People come to me all the time and they're like, hey, do you know any painters? Yup. Do you know any gardeners? Yup. Do you have any people that clean? Yup. Do you have anybody that can haul stuff out of the yard? Yup. I'm a person that has a whole bunch of resources, and I share them not only with agents, but with my clients too. Right? And guess what? You develop these relationships with these outside vendors, and the more of a relationship that you have with them because you've referred business to them, the more they're going to take care of your clients.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to make you look good. And what does that result in? Referral business. Right? I had a gentleman yesterday. Let me bring it up. He said, hi, my name is Abel Osuna. I was referred over to your services by a relative of mine that you helped get a house. Her name is Lena. Interested in some real estate, I can be contacted anytime at your convenience. Thank you. So I gave him a call after the class yesterday, and he was referred to me by a client of mine that I represented. She was a tenant at one of the properties that my investor owns. They couldn't afford a house, so I ended up getting her into a mobile home, right? This guy runs into her at Vallarta. Mind you, they're cousins and they haven't seen each other in years and they live in the same town. Is that insane or is that insane, right? But I guess some families aren't as close as others, right? You're like, I feel the same way.
Listen, we just figured out I had a cousin out here that we didn't even know about that works at O'Reilly's or whatever it's
Right.
called. And my mom walked in there and was like, oh, you're my cousin. Like, we didn't even know.
Wow.
So it happens.
Yeah, I know. So, funny story with this guy, right? He's like, yeah, I actually want to get into a mobile home myself. I said, awesome. I said, what were you thinking of? He's like, well, I actually have this one house picked out already. It's actually across the street from my cousin's mobile home park, in the private one. I said, awesome. I actually have a listing in that park that I just put back on the market because it fell out of escrow. She's like, awesome. I said, why don't you send me a picture of the one that you're interested in?
It's the same.
It's my listing.
Oh,
That's right.
ooh.
Right? I said, boop, boop, right? I'm about to double end it. Right? Things work out for a reason. Referral business is amazing, guys.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to ask for it.
Right.
Right? You have, Brandon, who do you know now that we've closed escrow? Who else do you know that I can possibly help the same way I helped you?
Right.
Right? you always want to follow up with your clients because they're gonna be bringing business. Now, here's the thing. I ended up getting on the phone with this guy. This guy does storefront glass. He does mirrors. Anything glass, this guy does for a living. I was looking for somebody to do some glass work over at my house, and I said, "Hey, you do glass? Yeah, dude, I'm looking for somebody right now." Things happen for a reason. He's coming over the weekend to my house to take a look at the job that I have. Right? I said, "Come over, give me an estimate." His first thing is like, "Don't worry about it, bro. I'll take care of you." Right? I said, "No." I said, "I appreciate the offer, but I'm a true believer that time is money." Right? And if you're gonna come to my house and use up some of your time to do some work, you better give me a price. I said, "I don't expect anything for free." I said, I said, "If I'm broke, then I'll probably ask for a favor. Right now, I don't need." I said, "You gotta get paid."
Cause you definitely gonna charge him on the commission.
Right? Well, the thing is that he's not. Buyers don't pay commission.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sellers do unless it's agreed upon in a different way, right? So very simple. So again, it's all about networking, man. Networking, right? Train your employees to do it. Pros, you can train them to your standards and have control over the finished product. Sellers appreciate a specialized consultant. You don't deliver the bad news. Cons. Depending on their role on the team, it may cost you more in time to pay a consultant. They may not have the skills to stage different types of homes, right? There's a lot of agents in this office that just have an eye for friggin' staging, right? She's not an agent, but she's Ileana's assistant, Jessica. She is really good at decorating. Like, I'm like, "Damn, man, you should become a stager." Some people just have it, right? Tips for training your employees. Have them shadow you on both the listing presentation and the staging process for a number of months. Supply them with your checklist and reading material. Explain all your procedures. Hold them accountable for results. Follow up on their work by asking your sellers to evaluate the service. Use professionals. Pros, professionals deliver top-notch quality. You don't deliver bad news. Homeowners react more quickly when a professional delivers the news than when an agent does. They have their own props and storage facilities, no overhead costs for you. Cons, you relinquish part of your perceived value in the eyes of the seller. Covering their fees is an expense. You have no direct control over the finished product. Tips for hiring a professional. Before choosing a stager, learn their reputation. Visit a listing currently on the market that was staged by someone you are considering working with. Go over your expectations and the standards you expect them to achieve and maintain. Hire the stager for an hour of consultation after the listing agreement has been signed. Provide the consultation as a free service to the seller. Pay for the stager a nominal fee. Okay? So here's the thing. If you're going to include staging in your presentation and you're presenting it, you better do it. Right? Now, I've never included staging in my listing presentation, but I always include everything else that I do. Professional photography, professional video, marketing, the type of marketing that I do, the services that I use for that marketing. And what I present in that listing appointment, I'm going to execute. Right? So the first thing that I do is professional photography, and I give them the explanation of how everybody buys with their eyes first. Right? So hiring, if you're going to be promoting something, you better come through with it. Right? Now, when it comes to staging, like I said, there's the easy way of doing it, which I've done. Just like Mike did on this little staging that he did on his listing. Very minimal. But those little touches make a world of difference. Or you can go all out and hire somebody professional to come and do it. Right? At the end of the day, you got to take into consideration what you're pricing the property at. Is there going to be a budget for staging? Are you charging a full commission? Right? I've been at listing appointments where the seller will be like, "Well, George, I love everything that you're doing, but can you do it for this much?" Right? I said, "Absolutely, I can do it for that much." I said, but let me ask you, which part of my marketing plan do you want me to eliminate? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, here's the thing. All this is gonna cost me money. And if I'm not gonna make a full commission, I can't do everything that I just presented. I had to eliminate parts of it, because I gotta save money. So you tell me, yeah, I'll give you a discount, but which part do you want me to eliminate? Well, none of it, then I can't discount my commission, right? And they see the value,
Yeah.
right? Here, where did I learn that from? Scripts. Scripts, and I've done that many times, right? Mike is the only guy that I charge 5%. My investor. Why? He gives me a ton of business, right? I help him, he helps me, right? But I always make 3%. I always make 3% on that. I pay 2% out, I make 3. I'm the listing agent, I got fees.
Right.
Now, if that property is not moving, then I make an adjustment on my commission. I've had situations where I pay the 3% and I keep 2, but I know for a fact that next week I'm gonna have another listing from Mike,
Yeah.
right? I have 3-4 listings for Mike and escrow right now, right? So it's continuous business that I have. As a matter of fact, he was calling me right now saying, I'm teaching classes. I'm like, okay, call me after. Right? So you're gonna choose your battles, right? Makes sense. Evaluate the house. Super important, guys. Super important that you evaluate the house. After you sign the listing agreement, you want to walk through the house with your client, right? You want, say again? After. Absolutely. Get the property under contract first. Sign on the dotted line, Mr. Seller. Right? After that, you know what? Great. Now that we've taken care of the paperwork, why don't we do a walkthrough through the house so I can give you some advice on what items need attention, if any, that way we can get the house ready for photos. Great. Right? So I start on the outside. Let's walk around the property to make sure that there's no items that need attention, such as the eaves needing painting. Why would I worry about that? It'll get called out by the appraiser.
Yeah.
Right? So we walk the property on the outside and we address the items that need attention prior to us putting it on the market. Right? And then we go on the inside. And we walk the property on the inside and we analyze items that need to be addressed or things that need to be removed. Right? And I asked the seller, by when can we have this ready so I can schedule the photo shoot? Right? You're setting expectations with that seller as well. Right? Because if you let them know, well, call me when you're done. What if they never do it?
Right. Yeah.
Right? So if you set the expectation from the beginning and you set that expectation that this is the way you're going to work, now they know what to expect from you. And now you know what to expect from them. At the end of the day, it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And that relationship has to work both ways. Just like a marriage. Right? There can't be this, because it's not going to work, right? Same thing with your client. There has to be this, not this, right? In order to have a successful transaction. So walking that property and analyzing, reviewing the items that need attention or need to be corrected or need to be changed is going to be super important. After you sign that contract, you want to sign that contract first, right? Because now you are employed. There's no reason for me to walk the property with you and give you my advice if you're going to go list with somebody else. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And if you decide that you want to work with me, then we'll take it to the next step, right? At the end of the day, if you show enough value as an agent, regardless of whoever's giving you a discount, they're going to work with you. 100%. I had a client in Vegas call. A friend of mine calls me. She's like, hey, my mother-in-law wants to sell her house in Vegas, and the only person I could think of was you. Right? I said, cool. He's like, I need you to be involved. I said, okay. Do you know anybody in Vegas? I said, absolutely. Called a friend of mine in Vegas. Right? I said, hey, I got a listing. I said, do you want to work this with me? I said, yeah, we got to run under you because you're the licensed agent in Vegas. She said, okay, what do you want? I want 40%. It's already a done deal. She's like, damn, 40%? What happened at 25? Right? I said, I said, well, it's 2 agents now, so we're charging 7%, not 6. And she's like, are you serious? And she's like, how are we gonna present this? I said, let me do it. So I showed the owner the value behind having 2 agents, one in California, one in Nevada, helping them market the property, not only out here, but out there, and how much more faster it was gonna sell. It's all about in the delivery. And she agreed to 7%. We paid out 2.5, and we split the rest. We split whatever we were gonna split based on what was left. So are people willing to pay you for what you're worth? 100%. It's all in the delivery. How are you presenting? How are you showing me value? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
100%, right? So make the appointment to, go ahead.
Sorry, question. When you're taking the listing first, do you put an actual value on it when they sign the contract?
Oh, absolutely.
Before you go and
Absolutely. I show them, I do my comps, right? So this is the way I do my, let me put this on a big screen. So let me show you what I do with this.
Thank you.
Actually, let me do this, this whiteboard over here, because these markers are not the happiest campers on the campus. Right? So you talk to somebody who wants to sell their home. Right? So you do a listing consultation. Let me get a better marker. What's the first thing that you're going to prepare a CMA? You're going to prepare a seller's net sheet, right? What's one of the key things that you're going to need to prepare a seller's net sheet to show them what they're going to walk away with?
The amount that they currently owe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Loan balance. Okay? Key thing. Right? Because if you don't know what their loan balance is, if they have one, how can you show them what their net's going to be?
Right.
That's one of the questions that you're going to ask while you're talking to the person in the consultation, or even, this is information you want to acquire before you go to that listing appointment. Because you want to bring the information with you to the point where they're going to sign a contract. So that's going to be your number one thing, right? Setting the appointment at the house. Not in the office. At the house.
Yes.
Include everyone involved. Oh, you know what? My wife's not going to be available, but I can take care of it. No, Mr. Seller, you know what? I definitely understand that you can give her the information, but I want to be able to answer any questions that your wife might have. So why don't we choose a time where both of you will be available so that we can all answer the questions that you both are going to have.
Right.
Right? Include everybody involved. Right? Everybody needs to be there. Right? Once you set the expectations of the information that you're going to need, you're gonna put, these are gonna be the items that you're gonna need to take. First thing, comps. Okay? Why are comps gonna be the first thing that you take and you present?
It
So you can get it.
supports the price you want to
Correct.
list the house.
Establishes value. Right? Okay, Mr. Seller, now that you've agreed on the value that your property is worth in today's market, let me show you the type of money that you're going to walk away with. What's the next one?
Net sheet.
Net sheet. A seller's net sheet. And you always do. Okay. You always do what? You always do your net sheet at 6%. Don't ever short sell yourself. 6% is what you are worth. You do your 6% on your net sheet. Because here's the thing. Once people see what their end number is going to be, They don't give a crap how much money you're charging them.
Right, exactly.
That's the honest truth. Your focus is gonna be to show them what that money looks like. Their end result, right? So their net money. Okay? Okay, so now that we've agreed, Mr. Seller, how much your house is worth, now that you're okay, you've agreed to the money that you're gonna walk away with, what's next?
Listing.
Listing presentation, your listing system, right? So, your listing system or selling system, right? Okay, Mr. Seller, now that we've agreed on value, now that we've agreed on the money that you're gonna walk away with, let me show you how I'm gonna do this for you. And this is where you show them the listing presentation. You go through your system, what items are you going to do? Right? You talk about what systems you use to market it. Who do you use for photography? Right? I even bring my numbers, how many sales I've had in the last 12 months and where my value is, right? Super important. So now we've covered what? Value. We've covered the money that they're going to make. And now we've covered how I'm going to make them that money. Right? What's my final step?
Get the listing signed.
Exactly. Sign the contract.
I know my shit.
Yeah, see?
I love it. Taught you well, Dinosaur. The most important part. Do not leave the house without signing on the dotted line, please. If you're already inside that house, all you gotta do is close your presentation. That's it. You're 75% done. Right? You just gotta get them to do what? Sign on the dotted line. Now, if you did this correctly and you showed that customer value, this is a done deal. Right? I remember I was in Rosemont a few months ago and I was competing with the Pulaskis team on a listing, right? And I did my presentation and at the end, I went for my closing. I said, okay, now that we've established this, the only thing that we gotta do is take care of the paperwork, right? And the wife's like, well, let us think about it. I said, okay. I said, let me ask you a question and be completely brutally honest with me. I said, which part of my presentation did not make sense? Oh, everything. I said, okay, which part of my presentation did you not like? Oh, we loved everything. I said, okay, so if there wasn't a problem and you liked everything, what is there to think? Why don't we get the paperwork out of the way and let me start working for you today. Right? And they look at each other like, okay. And they ended up calling me, he's like, you got the listing? I said, sure did. He's like, all right, well, we're gonna get you the next one. I said, whatever, I'm not competing. Right? And I ended up selling it. Any questions? Right? So again, reviewing the property is you're gonna do that after you've established the employment part of it.
So those steps are called the seller's net sheet. Is that what it's called?
No, the seller's net sheet is actually a sheet that you acquired through escrow, primarily through escrow. I asked what on track escrow. What I sent them the property address, the owner's name, right? The commissions, what items we're going to include in that transaction, such as NHD, termite, the prelim, obviously, any services, home warranty, everything that you are possibly going to pay for the buyer. Right? Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do on that seller's net sheet is give them the worst case scenario.
Right, and make sure they sign it too.
100%.
Okay, so you contact escrow and they can prepare that for you.
100%. I sent them all the information. I sent them the APN. I sent them the mortgage balance. How much I'm charging them. I sent them everything that I'm going to need included in that seller's net sheet. And I sent it to Sochi, my escrow officer that I work with and love dearly. I love everybody at Alltrack, by the way. Right? And they prepared the seller's net sheet for me. Because now it's coming from who? The source. Because they're the ones that are going to be including those fees through the transaction. Now, mind you, every time you present a seller's net sheet, you always got to make sure that you let them know that this is an estimate. Because the numbers can change. right? They might not be sure. They might give you a number on their loan balance. It might be different. Might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more, but you always got to keep in mind that escrow's numbers are always going to be a little bit cushioned. Right?
Excel figures.
Is it-
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Is it correct that the seller picks the escrow or is it the buyer?
Seller selects services. Seller always has the leverage.
So
What did we
seller-
say listings were?
Leverage.
Leverage.
So-
So selecting services is part of that leverage.
Got it. And so with that said, when you're providing them that listing agreement and you already went to an escrow, more than likely, I guess you can recommend, whoever you went with and they can choose
You're
it.
always going to recommend your services, but you always want to allow them to make a decision who they want to work with.
Got it. And then they would then tell you that by the listing, or they can wait until they get an offer?
You get there, you ask that question when you cross that bridge.
Got it.
Yeah.
I have to get going, sorry.
All right, you got to do 10 burpees before you leave.
I already did.
All right, there's a message online. Let's see what they say. We're a little bit past the hour. Are you okay with that? Are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
When it comes to working with other agents, do you get a contract in place saying what each is going to get paid or how the commission will get split or just cooperate off good faith? No, it has to be contractual out here. It has to be contractual. If somebody's got, for example, if somebody sends you a lead, if somebody's gonna send a referral, or you're gonna send a referral, you get your paperwork signed before you give your client's information away.
Right.
You make it contractual, right? You gotta guarantee, you're protecting who first?
You.
Yourself. But Ashley said, but weekends don't count, right, George? If you get the contract signed on Friday, the stipulation of the contract, yeah, weekends don't count. So if you get something signed, for example, Saturday, when is the deposit due? Within 3 days, right? So when is that third day?
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. Right? But when it comes to disclosures, weekends count. Okay? The contingency periods of the 17 days, weekends count. 100%. It's actually calendar days, not business days on those. Okay? Ideally, review the property when the sellers are not at home. The evaluation will go more quickly. I disagree with that. I want to have the clients involved, right? Because obviously you're going to make recommendations. So let's go through a couple more of these, and then I will let you guys know because I do have an appointment waiting in my office already. Review the property. Start by evaluating the curb appeal. Curb appeal makes a difference, right? If you have a house that looks nice on the inside but looks crappy on the outside, clean up the yard at least. Get a gardener out there to trim the bushes or clean up some weeds or something, right? Inside the home, look at the layout, determine whether the extra furnishings can be distributed throughout the house. Sometimes you don't have to hire a staging company. There's enough furniture inside the house. All you gotta do is do what? Shift it around. Give it a new look. Freshen up, right? Put some air fresheners around the property to make it smell nice, right? No rooms that are painted bright colors or have strong wallpaper that won't have mass appeal. I've walked into homes where I'm like, what the hell do you think of these colors? Every room is different color because the kids wanted their own color. That's not appealing to buyers, right? Go ahead, John.
So I walked into a house once, it was vacant, and the agent had plugged in a bunch of like Glade plugins.
Sure.
And those things were on blast. Like it smelled really strong in there, like Febreze. And
Yeah.
my first thought was like, what are they hiding? Does that, what do you do?
Some people might think that. I love it when a house smells strong. I have them all over my house. I just love the fresh smelling when I get home. You know what I mean? But you can regulate them.
Right, and
You know?
there's some cases where if they are trying to cover it, you can smell what they're trying to
Oh
cover.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't.
Fish does not go away no matter what you cover it with. It just smells worse.
Urine.
Yeah. Urine. Pets. Right? Pets.
Nasty.
That's how I politely put it, standard. Like, oh, you know what, there's people that have allergies and pet dander, so I recommend getting the carpet cleaned and
Yep.
air fresheners and da-da-da.
Yep, absolutely. And you want to have resources for them,
Yeah.
right? Check the floor for wear and bad color pattern. Check ceilings, baseboards, and windows and doors for cracks, right? It's called owner maintenance. It's just like anything. You don't change the oil in your car, what's going to happen? You're probably going to end up losing your engine on the long run. right? Everything requires, even we require maintenance. Guess what? You don't cut your hair, you're gonna look like a bum. Well, guys, right? No offense,
Thank you.
Sebastian, no offense. Your hair looks good, right? It's styled.
Yes.
But people require maintenance just like everything else. A home will require maintenance. It requires maintenance. We have harsh weather out here. We can have 4 seasons in one day. That's the truth. All that harsh weather will deteriorate a home if it's not maintained, right? Make recommendations. Email the recommendations to the center within 24 hours if you haven't done anything at the appointment, right? To help ease the process, you can also supply a calendar to show each state's a deadline. Give people deadlines. Like I said, what day can you have the house ready so I can schedule the photo shoot? Hold your sellers accountable 100%. You're going to be held accountable. You got to hold them accountable too, right? It's part of the AD. What are the responsibilities of the seller? What are the responsibilities of the buyer? Depending on who you're representing. And what are the responsibilities of the broker, right? Everybody needs to be held accountable. And then implement your plan. I'm going to stop it here, right? You got to put your plan in motion. You got to execute, right? Any ahas that we acquired today? What did you guys learn?
The listing consultation.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was nice.
Delivery. It's all in a delivery, right? And how do you deliver? It's based on your client's personality, right? I can't be a freaking hammer to a nice old lady. Right? And I can't be the nice old guy to a friggin' hammer. I gotta be on their level.
Mirror match.
Yes. You gotta be a chameleon. You gotta adapt. Right? And talk in their language. I can't talk to you the same way I talk to her, and I can't talk to Brandon the same way I talk to these ladies. It just doesn't work. I gotta talk in each language. I gotta learn their language to be able to be successful in my implementation. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jordan.
For everybody that's going to be here, we'll see you tomorrow for contracts 1 to 3. We're going to go over the contingencies on the contracts, which is going to be interesting, super
1 to
important.
3.
1 to 3. It's a 2-hour class. It goes fast.
Okay.
Does it not, Brendan?
Yeah, it goes real fast.
It's so much information that we go in that it's like, damn, we need more time, right? So, anyways, guys, have an amazing, productive day. I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Gracias, señor.